Check on the other end.
Go, Griot, go, Griot, go, Griot. Yeah, I'm in the city, yeah, I'm in the spot, in the vicinity. I'm the hottest up in the city, yeah, it really is. I studied the ones that was the realest, the illest, that invented that. Talking about Griot, West African passages for the streets, though. Adios, Mios, make it get about the Afro-Latinos. Drop every Christian from Africa's West Central. Raise a toast to the ancestors of old. For the knowledge comes in the form of a griot. In the form of a griot.
Pew, pew, pew.
You gotta unmute.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I keep muting on the other side. Y'all was able to hear the music though, weren't you?
Yeah.
I heard the music.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
Peace. Welcome back to the Griot Podcast. This is season 4, episode 1 of the Griot Podcast. First up, I'll let my beautiful sister introduce herself, and then we'll go down the line, introduce ourselves, and we'll get straight into the regular scheduled program.
We love a good regularly scheduled program. What up, good people? My name is Dr. Ashley Wade. I am a pharmacist. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an author, podcast co-host with the good people. And I'm a community and literacy advocate. Happy to be here tapping in to season 4 with y'all good people. What's up? Let's get it popping.
Yes.
Go ahead, LaDarius. Go ahead. The new edition.
Hey.
The rookie of the year.
What's up, everybody? My name is LaDarius. I'm a father of 2 beautiful kids. I'm a contributing writer to the SLA magazine. I'm a reader, a writer, an author. I'm trying to build my list like Kofi. You know, so I'm trying to make my list as long as Kofi's on. So I'm a brother, a nephew, grandson. You know, so I'm very excited to be the 4th co-host on this podcast. Like I was telling them backstage, like I'm honored and I'm grateful for this opportunity to grow, so I appreciate y'all.
No doubt. We appreciate to have you, man, as the 4th guest.
Yes, sir.
I'll go next, and then I'll let my brother introduce himself. I am Kofi Piesie, a writer, an author, a ghostwriter, an entrepreneur of Same Tree Different Branch Publishing, Same Tree Different Branch Media, Same Tree Different Branch Apparel. I am a member of various groups, Team RBG, the Mossy Warrior Clan, Kofi Piesie research team. I am the owner and operator of SLA magazine, a public speaker, lecturer, etc.
Yeah, man, to land the plane, closing it out, man. I'm your man, Sean P. For the Sean P. Experience podcast. I'm also a part of this wonderful channel on the Griot Podcast. Also a part of the To Be Told podcast. 4-time self-published author, a poet, a researcher, historian, community advocate, motivational, inspirational, you name it. And we are the Griot Podcast. Season 4. Let's get it.
Yes, 4. This year is the 4 for the Griot Podcast. That's 4 seasons, that's 4 hosts, and that's 4 different perspectives. So first off, the first segment that we have is from our brother Seanathan Polidore with the opening segment. So we'll turn it over to him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get it. So every episode for the opening segment, I try to keep it on code with today's topic. Today we have an amazing voice narrator in the building. So to honor that, I want to honor Mr. Keith David, right? Keith David, super amazing voice narrator, right? Recognized for voicing iconic characters in animation and video games. His notable mentions are Goliath and the Gargoyles and The Princess and the Frog, amongst many others. In video games, he is known for the Halo franchise and the Mass Effect trilogy. He is a Juilliard alumnus, graduated in 1979 from Juilliard, man. That's OG in the game. He is Tony nominated. He received a Tony nomination for Best Supporting Actor in a musical for his role in Jelly's Last Jam in 1992. He is a 3-time Emmy Award winner, right? For his roles in Tim Burns documentaries, including The War, Unforgettable Blackness, and Jackie Robinson, which is a brand new Jackie Robinson book came out just past Tuesday on Jackie Robinson. He is scheduled to receive his Hollywood Star of Fame this year, 2026. So much respect and props to the voice, Keith David.
All right, shout out to Keith David. Moving along, we'll go into our second segment. This is the Griot and Griotis segment, because this is the Griot Podcast. Some people know who the Griot and Griotis is, and some people don't, right? So what is a Griot? Griot is unique to West Africa. The griot or jelly professionally encompass many roles. A griot, pronounced griot, have been referred to as historians and storytellers, but there are no real words in the English language that includes all of these functions. The traditional griot, griotists do everything from recounting history to encompassing music to teaching students to acting as diplomats. They are genealogists, historians, spokespersons, ambassadors, musicians, teachers, warriors, interpreters, praise singers, masters of ceremonies, advisors, negotiators, and mediators. Not every griot does all of these things, but these are all of the examples of function that a griot professionally embody, right? So everyone on this panel right now is a griot, and most people that we come across, on these social media platforms or networking with other different people are griots or griotis in their own right, because they facilitate some of these roles as our ancient ancestors did in West Africa, who consider themselves as griots or griotis. So there is the wrap up of the griot section. So let's get into the our Black Invention segment by our brother LaDarius Dennison, and then we'll get into who our guest is and get into the discussion.
In light of today's episode and our guests, I would like to honor audio engineer Dr. James West. Dr. James West is a pioneering inventor whose work quietly transformed how the world hears itself. In 1962, while working at Bell Labs, he co-invented the electric condenser microphone, a breakthrough that made microphones smaller, more durable, and far more affordable. Today, roughly 90% of the more than 2 billion microphones manufactured each year are electric microphones. They are used in everything from professional recording equipment and sound measurement instruments to smartphones, laptops, hearing aids, baby monitors, and even toys, touching everyday life in ways most people never stop to consider. Beyond the invention itself, Dr. West's influence extends deep into the STEM field, where he has been an advocate creating initiatives to get more people of color into STEM. His achievements have been recognized at the highest of levels, including induction into the National Inventors Hall of Fame and election to the National Academy of Engineering. Dr. James West's legacy is not only that he changed how we communicate, but he helped ensure more people have a voice in shaping the future of technology.
All right.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. That's the way to come in.
That was amazing.
That's why you here. Rookie of the
And
year, man.
I appreciate how we start off with that. Like that's one of my favorite things about the pod. Like we start off with history. Now we have the inventors, segment, and that was fired. And I'm proud. I didn't know that. So thanks for putting me on. I'm like, oh, really, Mr. West.
Yeah. Shout out to Mr. West. All right, so now let's get into the discussion at hand, right? The reason for this episode one for season 4, and that is to have a discussion more than an interview. Just have a discussion with an up and coming, young, talented book narrator, Kojo. So, brother, could you please introduce yourself for people who may not know who you are?
What up, though? I'm Kojo Andrews, hailing from the beautiful city of Detroit. I am an audiobook narrator / voice actor, website developer, author services provider, and soon to be community activist and social media content creator.
Okay, all right.
My
Give it
man
up.
can't stay with the voice, man. My man can't stay with the voice. That's the dope.
We can't skip over that.
Stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Yes. So pay attention, y'all, to the voice. I mean, like I've said, I've heard, a few things that he done for his content creation with his voice, and also he did our brother who's on the panel. He did Seanathan Polidore book "What's Your Kick," which came out about 2 weeks ago. Came out about 2 weeks ago. If you ain't got that audiobook, please tap into www.sametreedifferentbrandspublishing.com to get that audiobook narrated by Kojo. All right. So now that we got that out the way, this is your home, man. So relax, feel free. Again, it's an interview interviewing you, you know what I'm saying? But but it's also a discussion, right? You know what I'm saying? So we building, so just, make it like we on the phone chopping it up or talking it, or we just out at a venue just chopping it up in network. I don't know who want to start first with asking the brother questions. We'll let our new host, we'll let him start off. LaDarius, if you got anything for him first off the rip, let's let him have it.
So my question is, it's a great question. What got you started into audio narration and things like that?
Yeah, my path was a little bit unconventional. So, as Sean P mentioned, I came in with the voice. I've sounded like this for a lot of my life. So everybody would always say, "Oh, you've got such a great voice. You should do something with it." I always knew that it took more than having a, so to speak, great voice. Like you got to have acting chops. So I put it off for a while, but around like 2015 or so, I was like, you know what? I can do this. I used to act when I was coming up in school plays, church musicals, stuff like that. So I had logged on to a website called acx.com. It's run by Audible and Amazon. Basically, it allows any author who publishes through Amazon to connect with any person that's an aspiring narrator or working narrator to audition for their project and hopefully work out a contract. So in 2019, I had just left my former web development job. It was a really toxic environment, and I wasn't getting any interviews for web development jobs. So I said, you know what, let me log on to ACX and do some auditions. And I wound up getting an audiobook contract sooner than I got another interview for a web development job. So I've been doing that pretty much ever since.
So for people who don't know what is ACX, can you elaborate on what is ACX and why book narrators go to this specific platform?
Yeah, so ACX.com, ACX stands for Audiobook Creation Exchange, and it's basically a virtual marketplace where, like I said, any author who has produced or who has published their book through Amazon and is currently available for sale on Amazon, they can log on using their Amazon account. They can post their book, they can request auditions, they can search for any narrator who has uploaded samples to the website, and any person who aspires to be a narrator, any working narrator, can log on to the website. They can search for any titles that any author has made available. They produce and upload samples of their work to the website. And it is a good resource, Amazon issues aside, for self-published authors to find a way to, one, quickly get their audiobook produced, such as with Sean P, like I did that relatively quickly over the holidays. And then two, it allows them to not necessarily name their own price, but try to stay within a budget. Like for me, I just became SAG-AFTRA eligible last year, so I'm going to have to be raising my rates. But for people who have not yet gotten that experience, it's good for them because, like I said, for authors, it's a way to keep costs low, in the sense that you can hire anybody from any part of the country or world, as opposed to getting into a studio, renting studio time, possibly finding an engineer to help master your voice. So it's a way to basically cut costs.
Okay. So how, well, I'll say that question for later on. Go ahead, the next person. I'll say if I would double back with that. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Doc. You take it.
All right, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to meet you. How did you link up with the fam? Like, did you and Sean connect? Was it through that application on Amazon that you're explaining to us?
No, not at all. We've got a mutual friend, author friend by the name of Kaya Montague. She had me on her podcast, the Mic'd Up podcast, and that's how I got to know Sean. And we developed a close friendship between myself, Sean P, Kaya, and another narrator friend of mine, Catherine Dollison. So that's how we got close.
Okay, welcome to the family. I thought that I was like, hold on, how do you get in the family? How this go? But I'm glad, and it's good to know you and good to meet you in this way, for real. You mentioned, go ahead, Sean P, what's up?
No, I was gonna say it's another good example of like why the internet is important and social media is important, because I know a lot of bad things get said about social media and the internet and meeting people online and all that. But again,
Bad
I
things
am
to say about
blessed to
social
meet
media.
so many people via these airways, and this is another great connection that just happened because I was willing to go and be a part of this panel, and we got an ongoing group chat. We all cut up, we all connect. But then these opportunities come, and it's like, man, let's do official business together. And so, here we are. Yeah.
I love that network. And that is why it is important for us as creators to like branch out into those spaces. So I'm glad that y'all like double back and networked and crossed up and then got his work produced. So what was it like producing What's Your Kick for Sean P?
Very smooth. I can say that without a doubt. Yeah, so like a straightforward nonfiction book, like that's my comfort zone, more or less. Like I do a lot of urban romance, urban fiction, urban thrillers, but like it's very easy for me as somebody who read a lot when I was coming up to just read the words that are on the page and present them as I best understand the author is trying to convey his work. So yeah, it was very smooth, straightforward. No real back and forth, just because the material was just very straightforward. Sean P does a great job of laying it out for anybody to easily consume and digest and understand. So yeah, it was just very, very easy, very light and breezy.
So my question would be, whenever you're doing fiction, you're doing like multiple characters, you're doing female characters, you're doing possible older people or even young people, like give us the difference in doing that versus, like you said, nonfiction being pretty straightforward. Give us the other side of the game where you are doing all of these voices and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more preparation that needs to go into it. For one thing, it's like with nonfiction, I'm just reading in my typical narration cadence. For fiction, like you said, I've got to voice a number of characters. There could be as few as like one or two to as many as a couple dozen. Uh, it really depends on the subject matter and the way the characters are written. It's like for some, I gotta dig deep into getting accents down. For others, it's like I need to read ahead and understand one who these characters are. Because in the case of urban thrillers, it's like you may have a mystery person where it's like a minor character or a seemingly minor character introduced in like chapter 2 is like the serial killer that comes back in like chapter 15. So you have to have some way of like preparing for introducing that person back into the role. Yeah, when you got like different characters that are older, younger, related, like getting the cadence right to, I guess, suggest that they are related or grew up together, grew up in the same area, but are still their own distinct individual persons with their own personalities, individual characteristics. So yeah, just a lot of preparation and practice. That's the main difference.
So I have a quick question.
Mhm.
So like you said practice, right? So
Yes, rookie of the year.
so during your practice, do you like practice these characters in real life? Like if you go to the drive-through, do you like you see what I'm saying? Like, do you embody these characters in real life to practice to see if
I'm tickled.
it's effective or not?
I try to have a work-life balance slash separation. So no, I don't get too DI. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Sean. You know what? Maybe that'll be a goal for this year to really truly embody the character. I'm gonna just speak as the characters from time
That's
to
so
time.
dope.
But yeah, to answer your question, no, I don't like. Oh, hello.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. They were telling me I was on mute again. Go ahead. Didn't want to break your thought.
Oh yeah, no, I was just reiterating that. Nah, that's not something I do, but we gonna make it work. We gonna make it work in 2026.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, in your experience, how does audiobook narration transform the way audience connect with a story? And what responsibility do you feel as a narrator knowing your voice may be the first or only way someone experience a book? And the reason why I'm asking this question is there is a group, they're popular two duos. They talk about financial literacy and such, and I bought their book, but I didn't. And what I do immerse reading, so I read the book as I'm listening to the audio, and the audio, the narrator messed up my experience from the book. I actually didn't even, because I've got the book in hand and I'm reading as I'm listening. This is a method where you can read a book faster. This is a method that I utilize instead of it taking me a month or a month and a half to read maybe a 350 page book. It's now taking me 2.5 weeks because I can speed up the volume, you know what I'm saying, speed up the speed on the narration and listen to the audiobook as I read to get that experience, that experience that I need from listening to it, because that narrator is bringing or breathing life into the words, you know what I'm saying, on the page. So I had a worst experience with a book narrator. So again, in your experience, how does audiobook narration transform the way audience connect with a story? And what responsibility do you feel as a narrator knowing your voice may be the first or the only way someone experience a book?
Yeah. Good question. First off, my whole perspective on it, as other narrators have this perspective, it's bringing the work to life. It's one thing to very passively read a passage with your eyes visually. It's another thing to have the experience of someone telling you a story. And that is my role as a narrator. We're on this podcast, we are storytellers. So it is important to get the nuance of the emotion, the nuance of the mood, the nuance of what the message actually is, what the author is trying to convey, and hopefully engage the reader in a way that they wouldn't otherwise be engaged as they're reading. Not to put anything against like reading a book visually, but it is my job to portray the story as best it can be. Because again, I'm a voice actor. My job is to act with my voice.
So is it best? Okay, let's say is it there are authors who want to narrate their book, and then and there's authors that don't. So is it best for a writer to hire someone who is already that is experienced, or how do you look at it? Because now that I'm looking at it too, there are actually two other books. Wasn't terrible as the book the guy did with the book narration on one book, but these authors narrated their own book, and the experience wasn't that good for me. I'm just speaking for me because they basically didn't have the experience. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people may be experienced in writing, but you're not experienced in narration, because those are totally two different skill sets that people don't understand. There is two different skill sets. Just because you are a phenomenal writer does not mean that you're going to be a phenomenal book narrator.
Yeah, I mean, you answered your question. Like, it's exactly that. For me, in my personal experience, it's a case by case situation. Like, you've got some authors who simply are the best to convey their work because it is their work. They are most intimately familiar with what their message is, what they were trying to say, the inflections that they wanted to place on certain words in certain sentences. But at the end of the day, it is very much its own skill set. And you have to be able to, one, read well out loud, two, be able to portray and convey the tone, the emotion, everything that goes into voicing the words that are on the page. So yeah, it's a case by case situation. I mean, as a professional, I would of course say it's best to hire a professional such as me and pay money to me. But yeah, it's a case by case basis, but it's kind of a trial and error thing. Like, I'm not going to tell any author, whoa, you don't know what you're doing. It's like, try it out first and see how you feel about it. Because again, different skill sets, people don't understand like how much can go into recording, editing, and mastering audio. So yeah, case by case basis.
I'm gonna definitely say from my own experience during the pandemic, I recorded like 3 of my own books, right? And until you in that booth with them headphones on in front of that microphone, like, you can read aloud all you want to your children for a bedtime story. You can read to your community for a community event or whatever it is. It is way different doing that in that space and the way you have to do it for doing that. Like you said, it's a skill set all to itself. And some of these people doing big books, you're in there for hours at a time, man. So to maintain the cadence, the rhythm, the flow, the characters for X amount of hours, everybody can't do that, effectively.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and I'm a music producer, so I've got music. I got a lot of studio equipment in here. So last year, 2024, the end of 2024, I wanted to go. This was right off us riding the high of Acting on Our Dreams and Vision that was narrated by D. Lewis and this beautiful sister. And me chopping it up with D, doing the process a lot. This is something I wanted to add to my company, Same Tree Different Brands Publishing, because we offer multiple services. So it's a book, one-stop sharp, you know what I'm saying, when it deals with literature. But me going into 2025, I wanted to take some acting classes that they had online, and some other things to prepare your voice, you know what I'm saying, and other things to get you in the creative mode when you're trying to create different identities for different characters. Uh, right. And I found out that it was just I didn't have the time, and I found out that this is a skill set and experience. Even though I've rapped and I've done a bunch of CDs and I've been in the booth and I have booth experience, and but the narration part is totally a difference. Even if and I'm saying that because even if you're a musician, well, it'll probably be easy for me singing and rapping. You know what I'm saying? Is a
Singing, rapping, spoken word, like scatting, all those things have all different cadences, all different rhythms, all different styles.
Right. So those are particular different skill sets that you have to develop. So I'm saying that because you are in one of those areas does not mean that you're going to be a great book narrator. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of time that I don't have. You know what I'm saying? That's why I bag back. I'll leave it to the professionals is what I said. I'll leave it to individuals like yourself. You know what I'm saying? That has the time, that has been doing this for amount of years, have a bunch of projects up under their belt. I'll leave it to the professionals, you know what I'm saying, instead of me going into maybe something I'll virtue back into later on. But at this particular time in my life, I don't have the time to develop the skill set because it's so many different elements that comes into place when you're dealing with book narration, man. So shout out and salute to you guys that does book narration. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people just don't know the amount of things that has to transpire in order to complete a project when it comes to book narration.
Yeah, exactly. Different skill sets, like even within performing vocal music, there's different styles of it. Like I mentioned, singing, rapping, spoken word, poetry. And then just two, like my full-time job is audiobook narration. So I book time specifically to work on projects, whereas any author could have any number of balls in the air that they're juggling trying to do whatever project. So yeah, it is a time commitment. And especially if you haven't been trained and haven't been practicing doing this for a number of years, the learning curve is steep, and the amount of time it takes to edit down your raw audio is also pretty daunting. So yeah.
I have a question. I'm curious about a couple of things. Your training, you mentioned that a lot, but walk us through like that first project when you got started, that first project that came up when you were ready, right? Tell us about what that was, what that experience was like, and who all you learned from. I saw that you mentioned James Earl Jones on your page. I was like, oh, okay. But like, how all did you learn? Did you learn from other people? And what did you learn from yourself, your own experience of, okay, this is what I need to do based off my first project and leading up to now?
Yeah. I don't really like discussing my early work because it's very clear that I didn't know what I was doing. But like I learned from a lot of contemporary narrators. Like that's really what the magic is. Listen to a bunch of audiobooks, and if not full audiobooks, at least audiobook samples that are posted, and really just try to understand what people are doing, how they're performing the work, why they make the choices that they make. And what I learned from myself is listening to my own voice, my own experience, especially when it comes to urban fiction. Like, it is so important for people to be authentic in that performance, because I can't tell you, like I'm a member of a number of different Facebook groups that are specific for narrators, but authors will come in there and they may request auditions for whatever work. One of the projects that I'm currently working on, this author had posted in one of these groups, And I was just curious because I had already seen the link to her project, but then I saw the post in the Facebook group. So I decided after I had submitted my audition, after we had been talking, I decided to ask her, so how many how many non-urban narrators did you get to audition for this book or submit auditions for this book? So it's like one of the things I learned is just understanding with all my experience of being around and speaking with, communicating with, observing Black folks, how do I authentically portray that in the work that I do? So that's probably the biggest thing that I learned. And also just being resilient. It's like, this is an entrepreneurial career. So given what I've gone through throughout my time as a narrator since 2019, it's really just being resilient, pushing, seeing things through to the end, seeing things through to completion, not giving up despite any number of obstacles that I've been through, just relying on self.
I feel you on that. And I appreciate you sharing that with us too, because that your personal development is important, you know, even from the beginning, from those sticky spots where it was like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. But I'm glad that you like believed in yourself and you stuck with it. And you was like, okay, and now you're doing all the things and now you about to, you know, run the bag a little bit more. So like, congratulations to you for like believing in yourself to that extent where you like are productive and you can be an entrepreneur and you're doing good things for good people. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate
That's
y'all.
that's what make us though. Trial and error. Trial and error is what makes us. All of us
Speak a word,
on
Coach.
here are entrepreneurs, and starting out, that's anybody. You know, you're not gonna be fond of your early works, but those are your development stages, right? So we gotta appreciate those development stages because I can go and give you a rundown of the first couple of books I published for someone and even published through for my research team, and which I talk about in my up and coming book. That's coming out in maybe March or April. Well, April or May. But those are what makes us though. Those development stages when we're first starting, starting out. You know what I'm saying? But that what makes us better. But go ahead, Sean.
Yes, sir. So people don't realize that outside of just doing books, audio voice narrators have a lot of potential roles they can do. We mentioned it earlier at the top of the show, video games, movies, commercials, obviously, a lot of things. Would you like to have yourself in other parts of narration work as well? Or are you pretty much just focused on the book side of the house?
Yeah, I mean, I got into audiobooks and I didn't mention this with the first question, but I kind of hinted at it like anybody who is an aspiring narrator can log on to ACX and begin auditioning, but I always knew that wasn't going to be my only thing. It wasn't going to be my only lane. Sean knows this, I tend to crack jokes every once in a while. I tend to be fairly animated. Like animation is definitely something that I want to get into. Just commercial voiceover work, like that's its own separate lane. Doing like documentary narration, a very different vibe beyond audiobook narration. One thing that I was very interested in, and actually there was a sister who was doing an open call for an exhibit talking about I want to say sharecroppers in like the early 1900s, like the sorts of things, like if you go to a museum and you see an exhibit and you press a button and there's like audio speaking about what you're looking at, somebody has to do that. There's so many different forms of
That's dope. That's
voiceover
dope.
work that's available to people. Like even with the folks that I talked to, Miles Washington, Midnight Michael, I know they do promo work and other stuff like on camera stuff, but also off camera stuff. So yeah, they don't just do audiobook narration. There's the whole gamut of things that a voice actor can do.
So, or you mentioned documentaries.
Mhm.
So, if a person wanted to do a documentary and wanted you to be the voice over for that documentary, does so how does that process work? And what I because through my mind, like through my media company, like last year, um I did commercials for a few local business and surrounding business, and but so I write treatments. So I write the treatment, send the treatment to the person, and let them look at the treatment through the scenes and see if they like what I got before I come and shoot the commercial. You know what I'm saying? I do a 2-hour minimum. I go in. The commercial can be from 30 seconds to 90 seconds. But the thing is the treatment. So does the person have to come to you with the treatment, write a treatment and submit a treatment to you for the documentary, or you look at the documentary and then you write a treatment around it so you will know exactly how to deliver your narration of the documentary by each scene that is presented in it? How does that work?
That is a very good question, and I can tell you straight away, I have no idea how to answer that question because I have yet to narrate a documentary. I mean, my best
This should
guess
be
is my best guess is something would already be presented, because it's like, if it's a documentary, it is a particular person's work. It is their vision. So they would already have something in mind. I can maybe guess that there may be some back and forth revision going on, but I would say for the most part, I mean, even with what I do, as a matter of fact, I know enough to know that, like, if I was to do promo work, if I was to do like on air, on station announcements, or like radio announcements or anything like that, video game scripts, they send the script to the voice actor. The voice actor reads over the script, and then the director directs them in the session as they're recording. Or if it's self-directed, they would do it on their own. So yeah, without having that direct experience, I would say it's more of, we narrators get the treatment, and then if we have questions, raise them. But otherwise, it's like we're reading the words that are submitted to us.
Appreciate that answer, brother.
Yeah, as you were saying that, Kofi, I was thinking about former President Barack Obama, who won a few awards based on a Netflix thing. He had voiceover about, like, like nature and the ocean and the cosmos or whatever it was. But he did some voice acting on those things and won some awards. I'm sure there was a script and a treatment of some sort whenever he was doing that.
Yeah, and that's something that I go ahead, sis. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I didn't know that. I didn't know that he had, all those other things, that he had narrated something before, nature related. I thought that was dope. I was like, oh shit, look at Sean.
Yeah. That's something I want to get in. That's something I want to do. Like, it's real easy to shoot footage. I would like to do all of us do like a documentary with our experience, because we are all dope in our own right. It don't mean that I have to pull out my camera. We all have phones. And I was a part of a documentary about hair. I put out a book called Beautiful Hair, what is it? Africa's Hair, Doing Before and After Slavery. And you can go to YouTube. The documentary is on YouTube. It did a big numbers. And she had a thing which I wasn't able to come out to Cleveland, Ohio, but I was a part of the documentary. I have a piece in the documentary where I talk and I break down the purpose of Africa hair and explain the different hairstyles, the different methods, the techniques, the identities, and so forth about it. But LaDosha Wright, that's my sister. We also partner with the Gay Journal Skills Academy in Gambia, which is in West Africa, with Fatou Sangay and Alu Sambu. And while she was putting this on, we would talk, and a lot of the things, when you look at the production of the documentary, it was shot in pieces. Everybody wasn't together when they shot the documentary. Some of it was shot on a camera like I have, like a cinematic camera, and some of it was shot on a iPhone, which you really couldn't tell the difference between the two. But she doing that process, I was just asking because she never spoke of a script. You know what I'm saying? She traveled to a lot of different places, but a lot of places she wasn't able to go to because she had other people involved. So the other people turned their cameras on and shot their perspective pieces, which she probably just told them, but I didn't know. So I just wanted to ask that. And just throwing it out there for my brothers and my sisters on here, I don't have to be there to shoot a certain piece. And a documentary, you know what I'm saying, doesn't have to be that 2-3 hours, 2-3 hours long, So That's something definitely that I want to do. So if we definitely get tapped into that, we definitely, man, we want to reciprocate, what I'm saying, that to your business, what I'm saying, or stand for your services, what I'm saying, for far as that. So I'm just throwing it out there, what I'm saying, and just keeping you abreast. If that's something that that transpire, we definitely would like you to, that might be your first experience, what I'm saying. We'll make that your first experience through a documentary. But okay. But Darius, you got something else you like to ask the brother?
Yes, earlier you mentioned that you do audiobook narration full time. And as readers, I'm curious to know, how do you view reading books in your personal life? Like, do you be like, I don't feel like reading this book unless I'm getting paid for it? You see what I'm saying? So, so I'm just curious to how, like, do you read in your personal time? Because I know I'm a social media producer, right? I've been on social media all day for work. And then when I get home, I kind of don't want to do it for myself, which is a problem. Because what I do for work, I should be able to do for myself and, for the people. So my question is, do you read in your spare time, or how does that work?
Yeah, that is a very compelling question. Free spare time is very, very nebulous. Basically, like, especially in the last couple months, I've just been so busy. Like, I have been checking out a couple authors that I really enjoy, but yeah, it's just a matter of, it's not so much that I get tired of it, but it's that my time when I'm not recording, like, I'm trying to do research on authors to pitch to. I may be prepping a script. I may be just unwinding in other ways. I may be doom scrolling on social media, because the state of everything that's transpiring in the world is something that's unavoidable. So yeah, it's like, I have been getting into reading. Like I said, there are a couple authors, new authors, that I'm really into. But yeah, it's just a matter of, like, actually making time to do it. But yeah, I mean, I do this for a living, but it's not so much that I get bogged down or burnt out from it that I don't want to read, because that's what I've been doing since I learned how to read.
Yeah, that's a great question. Great question.
Well,
Go ahead, Sean.
I have one last question before we get out of here and move on. Kind of a lighthearted question. What in the world was it like voicing me? Right, you kind of put on it a little bit earlier, but I know last year having D. Lewis do it, I was always so worried, because it's like, I know the way in which I can be and the way in which I can talk sometimes, and it could be kind of dangerous trying to impersonate me, like, directly. So, like, what was it like in your thought process leading up to doing it?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked this question, because, as you know, but the rest of you don't, like, I had talked to you just trying to get a feel for your accent, because, like, that's how I like to portray the people that I'm portraying in these books. But since it was a nonfiction book, it was less that, and relying on your guidance. It's like, yeah, you've got a certain flow to how you speak, and it's inimitable, basically. So, like, I was trying my best. Like, I was listening to interviews of, like, different people from New Orleans, just to try to, like, I was listening to a bunch of your interviews with guests and being interviewed. But yeah, at the end of the day, it was just like, all right, the material is what it is, and it's not necessarily unique to your accent or your voice, but you are portraying your lived experience. But it's less important to get the person and more important to deliver the message.
I appreciate that, man. For those that don't know the process, so of course he's auditioning for me, if you will. He's sending me samples of what he's working on, like, you want it like this kind of a thing. And I've heard the first couple of them, and they weren't like bad by any means. But I was like, don't be a caricature of me. Like, just do you.
Yeah,
I
right.
just want a professional and crisp and, like, clear sound. and he delivered exactly what I wanted. I wanted that way more than trying to do Sean P. Like that's kind of a crazy task anyway. For myself, hard doing it myself. So trying to do that is like, nah, don't do
And the
that.
turnaround rate was fairly quick, wasn't it? The turnaround rate for it, I
Oh my
remember when
God! Let me give some flowers right quick. This man is on Christmas Day sending me files. I mean, all the files. This man was like just
He got
turning
a
it
word.
over,
He said he had word.
acting it out on some Kofi level type stuff when it comes
Okay.
to like, I'm always bragging on like, you deal with Kofi, he's gonna deliver it, whatever the date was, he gonna do whatever it takes to make sure it's that date, is serious and get done. And this brother right here, you see it on the screen, anybody watching this man delivered just like that. Everything we talked about, it was official, A1, as he said, it was smooth. It was an amazing business situation. I look forward to our brand new publication, Kofi and I, coming out pretty soon. I look forward to the brother doing some future business as well. Hope.
and now that you that now I'm glad you said that, Sean. Okay, the process you mentioned files, Sean. He's sending you files. So for people first time, just for people first time, it don't matter what narrator that you go through, they're gonna send you files. So you have to understand when he's talking about the ACX, the system that they use to upload your, if you're going through that system, right? If you're going through that system, so there's a process that has to take place in order to upload your book, right? And it is not going to be sent book. Any narrator is not going to send it to you on one file. There are going to be specifically separate files. So I'm just throwing that out there so people won't be, and I don't know, and possibly, I don't know if that's something that you explain through your process when you're booking your clients. Is that something that you inform them of so they are aware of? I'm not going to receive one file. My service is to narrate your book and to complete your book and send it to you. So the process, the next steps are on you to get it on this platform, ACX or whatever platform that they're using, because there's other particular platforms that you can use, Leapfrog or what is something I can't remember the name of, but there's quite a handful of them. So is that something that you explain to some of your clients or potential clients, that this is my service, this is what I do, and after my service is complete, this is how I turn in the project?
Not typically, and that's only because the independent authors that I work with, they already have an understanding of like how the process is going to go, because if they're interested in having their audiobook produced, chances are they've already listened to a couple different audiobooks or maybe talked to other authors and gotten their experience with how they had their audiobooks produced. Also, it's like I am a former web developer, but I still do it from time to time. It's like my degree is in computer science. I can talk all day about technical details that nobody else around me cares one iota about. So it's like I could give more insight into it if an author requested it, but it's not necessarily something that I lead with, just because it's like, yeah, not everybody has that same technical background, expertise, understanding. So if I'm always happy to answer questions, but I don't necessarily provide all that information just because I don't necessarily see the need for it unless they're just confused about how the process works, in which case, like I said, I'm always happy to answer questions.
Okay, for sure.
Kofi does a phenomenal job on his individual Instagram page, breaking down the business of books. For anybody that loves consuming books, and especially for aspiring authors when it comes to these platforms and how the payout go and all of that. Could you and Edwin break down, like when it comes to ACX, some of the other platforms, if you're an individual writer as we are, independent, putting your stuff on Audibles and whatever versus having your own platform, your own website as we're doing, like the difference in that. Talk about some of that business side of it, if you guys can.
You want to go first, or you want me to go, Edwin?
Can you provide some more clarification, like as far as the business side? What exactly do you mean?
Well, I just meant for a lot of authors having your work on Audibles, for an example. Of course, Amazon Audibles, they're going to get a certain percentage of the proceeds and things of that nature. Just like being a writer with a paperback book or even a Kindle book, you're not going to get all of that money whenever somebody buys your product, right? But on your own individual website, somebody go and buy What's Your Kick, for example, there's not about a third party taking any of the proceeds from my website. That's what
Okay, yeah. So I had mentioned Amazon issues very early on. Amazon takes 60% of whatever the profit is on audiobooks. And that's regardless of how the audiobook is produced. There's two different methods of production. Well, technically three. There's pay for production, where you pay the cost of the book before it's released. And there's royalty share in the case that you don't necessarily have to pay. There is another method called royalty share plus, where you do have to pay. But the whole premise is you split the royalties. So if an author opts into a royalty share model for producing a particular audiobook, that 40% that's left over after Amazon gets their cut is split down the middle. So 20% goes to the narrator, and the author gets 20% of all the royalties on an audiobook through Amazon. So it definitely behooves people to have their own distribution systems in place, for an example, having it available on their website for sale, such as Sean P. So yeah, it's definitely a lot more cost effective to try to distribute it as best you can, but Amazon does make it available and easier for 60% of your profits.
Yes, that's definitely correct. Even on the paperback hard book side as well, it's the same thing. It's a 60-40 split. You know what I'm saying? 60 their way, 40% your way. And we've been conditioned, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna keep using the word condition. Like, we're being conditioned that Amazon is the end all be all. You're not doing nothing if your book is on Amazon. I mentioned 5 other different publishing companies, print on demand companies on my last video. And I use those other ones because there's other print on demand companies. But even with those other print on demand companies, we talking about royalties, we talking about splits. Some of those royalties and splits is not a 60-40. Some of them are 70-30, which is 70 their way, 30 your way. And if you're about ownership and owning your own intellectual property, you want to own it. So you want to cut out the middleman altogether. So in order to be and own something, you have to cut them completely out of the line. It doesn't make sense for me to start a business and put all the hard work into a business, and then I sell all of my equity in my business. I've built it from the ground up, and then now I sell it out, and I only got 30%, and a person got 70% equity in something that I build. It doesn't make sense. They make the decisions. Now I'll give you an example. The other day, a sister called me about she wanted to order some more books. So she wanted to order 40 more books because she was going to a convention, right? So I gave her the price of how much the books, her author's copy is going to be for these 40 books. So she said, she hit me back about 15 minutes later and said, look at this. Why is my book, because we talked about not even putting a book on Amazon, but she never did give me it because I don't have to connect it to the global network that my company is connected to. So someone Googled her name and sent a picture back of her book being on Barnes and Nobles and Amazon.com. So she screenshotted and said, why? And I said, well, we talked about it, but you did not discuss for me not being on it. I can take it off of there. It's going to take 6 to 8 weeks before it officially comes off of all of these platforms, but I can take it off. Just because I remove it does not mean it's going to come off instantly. and her book was on there on Amazon for $25. And she particularly a practitioner of Esheshe. You know what I'm saying? It's a West African tradition in Africa by the Yoruba people in Nigeria, right? So she is a priestess. So her book, and she has ordered, I'm telling you all, because she travels and she goes to Nigeria and other different places, and then she has her own network in Atlanta and so forth. So she sells a lot of her books at these practitioners' events, right? And she have ordered books several times through me, and her book is $40. Her book is purchased for $40. Amazon has it on there now for $25. I have Kofi Piesie Spiritual Comeback book. This is from my research team. We put out 5 volumes. Spiritual Comeback, a historical survey of I can't even remember the whole subtitle, but it's just called Spiritual Comeback. Volume 3. It was priced at $25. It's on Amazon right now for $15. This is something that I didn't go back and exchange. They own particular rights to certain things, so they can do what they want to do. That's going back to me saying about you selling majority of your equity in your intellectual property. So you give these people all of this equity so they can make more choices than you do because they own majority of the rights out than you do. So it is. That's why it's important for authors to understand that when I first have a consultation call, the first question I ask people is, what do you know about the book business? What do you know about royalties? What do you know about splits? What do you know about payouts? What do you know traditional versus indie? And a lot of them don't even understand the business aspect of it. So there's a lot that goes into it. So when I explain to them, like, and some of them have businesses. So I said, would you outright sell me majority of the equity in your business where you only have a lower percentage? If they tell me, hell no. I said, that's what you're doing when you're publishing your book. You're doing the same thing. A book is a business. That is your intellectual property. That is your intellectual business. This is something that you work hard for to produce and to materialize it just to give it away, which goes back to the conditioning part. We have been conditioned that we is not making progress if our book is not on Amazon. And just because your book, go ahead.
I love to hear this story as an author, right? So in my 9 years being the author, the biggest book signing I ever had in my life was at Barnes & Noble, right? I had a Barnes & Noble's book signing. So when you walk into Barnes & Noble's, it was a 7-foot poster of Sean P. standing there all dressed, the whole 9, right? Don't you know, I had the biggest crowd, everything. I made the least amount of money at that book signing. Because for every book I sold, Barnes & Noble took their bread off the top. So our brother Keith Dickerson, I let Keith sell his books outside of my car in the trunk in the parking lot. When we left together after the event, he sitting in the passenger seat killing his money. I'm driving. I did the biggest book signing of my life. He in the passenger seat in my car just, oh yeah, man, I'm going down today. And I'm driving like, man, this is crazy.
Did you kick him out the whip, Sean?
Huh?
Did you kick him out the whip?
Nah. That's my dog, man. But I use that story all the time to tell up-and-coming authors, like Kofi saying, like, bro, because your book is at Target or is at Walmart or is at these places,
Speak a word.
it's
Speak a word.
good to your ears. That's not what's popping, bro. That's not what's popping, man. I would never do it again in my life. I would never do it again.
You have to understand this, and I'll digress. You have to understand this, that these print-on-demand companies, Barnes & Nobles, Target, Walmart, Amazon.com, Spots, Draft to Digital, all these print-on-demand platforms, they have millions of books on their platforms. So just because your book is on there, people have the perception because my book is on Amazon, on Barnes & Nobles, or wherever, that my book is going to sell. No, it's a print-on-demand company. They print on demand. They don't have your books housed in their warehouses. They print it on demand, but they don't promote and market it because they have millions of books. And then what you're doing is that data that they collecting, you could be collecting that data. It's a data driven. When they sell your books, when you send somebody, because that's when you get sales most of the time, you're directing people to these people platforms for you to get raped 60, 40, 70, 30 split. So you direct them. Let me send them to him so I can get raped. You know what I'm saying? When you send them to those platforms and they purchase that book, or even if somebody come along and just Google something and say, I'm interested in this topic, you don't know the person name. You don't have the data for that person. You don't know the person name. You don't know the person address, email address. So it's about collecting data. These are about collecting data when you have your own platform. So now when you have new projects, or you having a book event, or you going out to these public speaking engagements, or you're going to be in these people's town, you can inform them through text message. You can inform them through email. You can inform them through your website if you have something connected that's connected to you and the people who purchase and support you. That is the purpose of having your own platform versus their platform. They're collecting all the data for themselves, you know what I'm saying, and utilizing that data for themselves and not for you. So it's just so many different things that goes into it when we talk about the book business. But we could talk all day about this, but I digress, man. Anybody else got any questions they would like to ask the brother before we go into the woman segment? Go ahead.
I'm trying to see where we can get that let me talk you through their merch. Let me talk you through it merch. That's clever. That's pretty dope. And a play on words. I was like, you know what? That's fire. And especially like with what you do, I think that's like a beautiful niche. So I was like, I saw that. I was like, that's pretty clever. Where can we get that merch
shout out to Kaya Montague once again. Through the Black Thread Apparel is where I got that shirt, and where you all can get any apparel related to book reading. The Black Thread, BLK, by Kaya Montague.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if that was your brand, if something produced by your brand or not. Thank you for letting me know that.
Mm-hmm.
I have something, and then we'll go into the woman segment. Because just thinking about it, and I'm going back to when you're auditioning, right? And for people who want more ownership in their intellectual property, which, the formatting of the audiobook, that is another format or extended format to a book. So is there another, do anybody have a independent app database where narrators can go and audition on this particular app, particular website, particular platform for other indie authors that sells their own intellectual property?
If you're talking, okay, there are websites that exist that are virtual marketplace type stuff, like Fiverr.com, Upwork.com, those sorts of places. There isn't anything that's specific to audiobook narration or really audio in general, where like any person, any author can join those websites. That's like low cost, because Amazon is free. And the ones that I mentioned, I don't know like Fiverr's rates, but I do know with Upwork, you got to have a subscription. And then I didn't mention any other like voice specific platforms, because those are for like larger corporate entities. So, I mean, honestly, the best way is one for narrators to have their own websites, their own social media presences, and then two, within social media, just like create content. Like that's part of my goal for this new year, just expand my brand. It's like I still feel some kind of way about being seen as an up and coming narrator when I've been doing this for almost 7 years now. So it's like I got to be more proactive about making people aware of who I am and the fact that I exist and the fact that I am doing audiobook narration.
Mm-hmm.
I want to piggyback on that real quick, Brother Edwin. I don't know the audio narrators' names off the top of my head, but I could have sworn on IG I saw something where like some of the major urban fiction black narrators and some of the writers are trying to get a platform where they do have something more integrated together. I can't remember what it was called, but it does exist. Think of the name of it.
I
Okay.
mean, I do know that there are people who are trying to create their own publishing or production companies. Shout out to Catherine Dollison, who might be in the chat watching this. As far as like an actual marketplace, like I do know there's Audio in Black, but I don't know a lot about what they provide thus far beyond just helping individual authors on a case by case basis. So, I mean, Sean, like I may need to talk to you about that offline just because I don't have that information. I haven't heard talk about like there being tried and true like go-to for us specifically beyond like people having their own production companies.
And the reason why I'm asking, and I didn't know Sean is bringing me the light on it because this year in 2026, me being an entrepreneur, um, I want to provide. My goal this year is to provide things that don't exist. To provide things that don't exist. So as you was talking, I was thinking about developing a website or some software or a program for the integration of other people using the data that I have collected over my website in the last 5 years, and even the thousands of people data I collected doing D. Lewis wife's thing that she has every year. You know what I'm saying? So I
Shout
was
out
up
to
the
A.A. Lewis and Bray.
yeah, AA Lewis, you know what I'm saying? So I was able to be a part of that thing and have thousands of people to come to my website within the 4 days and for me be able to collect data. So I was just thinking about the same thing, just trying to have something where it's integrational between the indie authors and the book narrators. So now that the people that are selling their intellectual property outright themselves on their own platform, the book narrators have a space to come in and audition for them, versus because a lot of people are
That's
separating
a good
themselves
idea.
away from the print on demand companies because we work too hard to give all of the money to them and we walk away with nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that was just an ideal that was spewing the whole time, when you mentioned, what I'm saying, the audition piece. So I'm definitely gonna chop it up with Sean and see who it is too. And if it's not something that's going on, I'm gonna see if I can try to create something to integrate that uh in that as well. But even if I create it, I still need the participation from other authors and other narrators in order for it to work. So but yeah. Um but if that's all the questions that we have, we'll definitely go into the women's segment and end this podcast. We definitely appreciate you, brother, for coming on and answering a lot of the great questions. You know what I'm saying? And so for people though, before we get into the last segment, could you give your handles again? The name of your company, give your handles. How can people reach you if they're interested in getting their book narrated by yourself?
Yeah, I'm reachable at Kojo Andrews everywhere except Facebook at Kojo Andrews VO. So yeah, just find me, Kojo Andrews.
All right. All right. So let's get into the woman segment. This is headed up by our beautiful Griot, Dr. Ashley Wade.
Hey, yo. So I'm always glad to bring this to y'all and have these conversations about women who are doing amazing things on this segment, on this podcast. So today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about Juanita Craft. So I like local politics. If y'all, follow me, I like local politics. I always and hope that people can get involved in their local governments, find out what's going on with the elections. Also, like historical figures locally are very important to me, especially being in Dallas. And I always encourage people to get involved in their local politics and also find out what the four leaders did, what our four people did, especially even if you have to go dig it up or if you have to do the research and find out what the Black history is or was in your town or city. So Dallas is a very a huge city, has a lot of like history of race issues, especially around Fair Park. I'm reading about Ida B. Wells. She talks a lot about boycotting these centennials that they were having in the early history, like in the early 1900s. So Juanita Craft, I'm about to tell you about her. She was big in like getting the fair to be integrated. And she's really big in Dallas history. She's a local legend. So I'm gonna tell y'all about her real quick. She was born in 1902. And she was an American civil rights activist. She is largely responsible for the successful integration of the State Fair of Texas and Dallas ISD, in addition to many Dallas universities, theaters, restaurants, and lunch counters. Her life in advocacy began in her early 30s. So I think that's dope, for us and our generation to keep that in mind, that we can get involved, we can still be, we can be effective in change, and we can be a part of history and make history. Because I'm sure at that age of 30, she probably wouldn't think I'm gonna be a legend. Maybe she did, but I like the fact that, she was called to be involved in politics. And, even like with Jasmine Crockett running and things like that, there's a lot of contention about Black women in politics. So I think it's really dope that Juanita Craft was one of the 4 leaders in Dallas as a Black woman when it came to like integration and things like that. And also she was a part of the NAACP, and she was a field officer in 1935. And that reminded me about some of the other legends that I appreciate, Rosa Parks, Ella Baker, who were field officers, and they made mad connections, and they were really, really entrenched in the community for real. And you can tell that too. Her name is like very popular, very historical. And even like her home, she lived in South Dallas and her home is still there. It's actually a national landmark. So I think, it's wonderful to be involved. It's wonderful to like keep politics on your mind, even though whether you're in or out. But what I really like about her story is that she activated the young people. So when she would boycott Negro Achievement Day, she would have all of these high school students with her, and they would have picket signs that said something unique. It said something like, "Don't sell your pride for a segregated ride." So I think that was dope. And as far as her influence in the community, her presence in the community. So to wrap it up, I think it's important what we're all doing, but I hope we stay rooted in like grassroots and inspiring other people to either do what we do, open a door for them, and look for some elders to open a door for us to kind of lead and be a part of the movements that we need at this time in our history. So thank y'all for checking out Juanita Craft. You can Google her. She's a big Dallas legend. And I'm gonna have to go to the Juanita Craft house. It's like a museum, and lots of people host events there and stuff, but I haven't been yet. But I love, to share like local news, local historical figures, and hopefully they inspire us to keep building and keep uniting and coming together and really making change.
No doubt, man. Y'all have so much going on out there in Dallas, man. It's a shame, man. Hey, working out there, man. I appreciate it. I've been trying to get out there. I'm talking about move out there, but
Bro, it's a lot. It's a lot going on. But there's a lot going on at Fair Park right now. A lot of the local politicians are showing up to the council meeting. So like stuff like that, I'm into. I'm not going. I'm not going to the council meetings, but I'm into it, and I like to, to hear the outcomes, and I like to see people like stand up. So like to go back and look at Juanita Craft, she's a local legend, and how she, stood up to the city council. She was one of the first women, actually the first Black woman to vote in Dallas. So she's got a lot of firsts in her life, and so like I think it's beautiful, and I love to share like that local piece of our history.
No doubt. Well, that wraps up. We have officially canned season 4, episode 1, right? We'll be back next. I'm finna say next Sunday. We'll be back next month.
Hold on now, Kofi.
Good to have you on the podcast, Kojo. Yeah. Welcome to the fall, LaDarius. I hope you had a good time. It's always a good time for me. It's always fun for me.
Yeah. So we'll be back next month for Black History Month. Y'all want to tune in for that episode. What is that episode? That's what's that episode about? W.E. Du Bois? I can't remember what it was. I have to look on the schedule.
We got a possible game show coming up, Kofi. A possible Black History Month game show.
Okay.
Because it
All
is
right.
because it's the 100th anniversary of Negro History Week, and it's the 50th anniversary of Black History Month. So we just gonna turn it into a celebration. So
okay, for sure. I like that.
I'm here for it. What they do.
So yeah, we'll see y'all again. We'll appreciate those who tuned in for a moment, opt out, those who stayed the duration of the show. We also appreciate those who will come back later on and look at this podcast in the archives. Like, we thank you all for your support. And we're gonna keep going, man. So we'll see y'all next month, same time. We out of here. Let's rock out. Let me go back to, if I can find our song, our theme song. See, I done moved off of it. Damn.
He about to lift us off.
Yeah, I got so many different songs on
Spaceship
here.
over there. I like that hat, Kofi, that you got going.
Oh yeah, that's the Griot Podcast hat right there. Griot, you can get that Griot Podcast hat and the shirts that we wearing. Go to Same Tree Different Branch Publishing. Click onto the apparel button, and you can get your shirts, your hats, and your pants. You know, at Same Tree Different Branch Publishing. And we out of here. Even though I don't have on this place. Place. Yeah. Skull cap, you know
it.
I did this on the mixtape. I love it all.
Shout out to you.
Salute.
Cognitive dissonance, colonized indigenous minds, bodies, innocence, European participants, Jesus no deliverance, rebellion with militant.